I never thought I would be the guy telling a story like this. That morning I was just a regular 35-year-old software engineer checking my phone while brewing coffee. Then the text from Sarah arrived. My wife of 5 years, supposedly on a business trip, had just married my coworker Matt. You are pathetic, by the way. Do not wait up ever again. Complete with a blurry chapel photo. 5 years of marriage reduced to 20 cruel words. My hands trembled, but somehow I managed to type back one word: good. Then I blocked all her credit cards and called a locksmith. Before I continue with this unbelievable story, drop a comment letting me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button if you believe. Sometimes the best revenge is living well, and subscribe if you want more true stories about finding strength after betrayal and building a better life when everything falls apart. To understand how shocking that text message was, you need to know our story. I am Daniel, a senior software engineer at a tech firm in Chicago. I have always been the quiet, analytical type, more comfortable solving complex coding problems than navigating social situations. But I did okay. I had my own house, a stable job with good benefits, and a small circle of close friends who accepted my introverted nature. I met Sarah at a company holiday party 6 years ago. She worked in the marketing department, all confidence and charisma, lighting up the room with her outgoing personality and infectious laugh. When she approached me at the refreshment table, I was genuinely confused about why this vibrant, beautiful woman wanted to talk to me. But talk we did for hours that night, and again over coffee, the next day, and dinner the following weekend. You are different from other guys I date, she told me on our third date. They all try so hard to impress me, but you are just authentically yourself. It is refreshing. I fell hard and fast. Sarah represented everything. I was not social and spontaneous, and she seemed to appreciate the stability and thoughtfulness I offered in return. Within a year, we were married in a moderately lavish ceremony that stretched my budget but made Sarah happy. I remembered thinking it was worth every penny to see her smiling as we exchanged vows. The first 2 years of our marriage were genuinely happy. We complemented each other well. I helped Sarah organize her finances and create a budget. She encouraged me to step outside my comfort zone, hosting dinner parties and joining her for social events I would have avoided before. We talked about starting a family, even began setting money aside for a future down payment on a larger home in a good school district. Looking back now, I can see the warning signs started in year 3. Small criticisms began slipping into our conversations. My hobbies were boring. My friends were losers who never grew up. My careful financial planning was stingy and controlling. I tried to adapt, spending more, socializing more, but it never seemed enough. Our financial arrangement had always been straightforward. I earned about twice what Sarah did, so I paid the mortgage and major expenses while she covered groceries and utilities. We maintained a joint account for shared expenses and vacations, but kept our personal spending money separate. At least that was the agreement. In practice, Sarah frequently dipped into our joint account for personal purchases, explaining them away as necessities. Marriage counseling could help us communicate better, I suggested after a particularly bad fight about money. Sarah dismissed the idea immediately. We do not need some stranger telling us how to fix our marriage, she snapped. The problem is, you need to be more ambitious. Make more money. Be more exciting. I did not sign up to be married to such a pushover. That word pushover became a recurring theme. In her view, my patience and conflict avoidance were weaknesses, not strengths. I started walking on eggshells, afraid that standing my ground on anything would lead to days of cold silence or heated arguments. Then Matt entered the picture. A new hire in the marketing department, he quickly became a central character in Sarah's work stories. Matt was taking the lead on an important campaign. Matt stood up to their boss in a meeting. Matt invited the team for drinks after work. At first I thought nothing of it. Sarah had always been social with colleagues. But then came the texting at all hours, the sudden need to work late several times a week, the weekend emergency meetings that left me alone at home, and finally, the business trip to Las Vegas for a marketing conference. When I casually mentioned looking up the conference schedule online so I could get a sense of when she might be free to talk, Sarah exploded. Are you checking up on me now? This controlling behavior has to stop, Daniel. This is exactly why I need space from you. You are suffocating me. The night before she left for Vegas, we had our worst fight ever. I had found a text notification on her phone from Matt that read, "Cannot wait until tomorrow. It is going to be epic." When I asked about it, Sarah unleashed years of apparent resentment. You want to know the truth? Fine. Matt is a real man. He knows what he wants and takes it. He is exciting and passionate and everything you are not. You are pathetic, Daniel. A doormat that everyone walks all over. I married you because I thought you were stable and secure. But stable turned out to be boring, and secure turned out to be weak. She stormed out that night, staying at a friend's place before her early flight. I spent the night in a daze, alternating between rage-hurt and a strange, detached numbness. But even after all that, nothing could have prepared me for that text message 2 days later. The complete text that changed my life forever read, "Just married my coworker Matt at the Little White Chapel. You are pathetic, by the way. Do not wait up ever again. P.S. We are using the honeymoon fund for our suite this week." Attached was a blurry photo of Sarah in a white cocktail dress and Matt in a dark suit standing in front of a neon wedding chapel sign. I stared at my phone for what felt like hours but was probably only minutes. The physical sensations hit: first, shortness of breath, racing heart, cold sweat breaking out across my forehead. Then came the emotional tsunami: shock, betrayal, humiliation, grief, all washing over me in overwhelming waves. 5 years of marriage gone in an instant, replaced by this grotesque parody of happiness at my expense. Yet as the initial shock subsided, something unexpected happened. A strange calm descended over me, a clarity I had not felt in years. For the first time in our marriage, I saw Sarah with complete objectivity. This was not a momentary lapse or a fixable problem. This was who she truly was. My fingers moved almost automatically as I typed back the simplest response possible: good. That single word contained everything I needed to say. Then I set my phone aside and began taking action. First, I logged into our joint banking app and discovered Sarah had already withdrawn $4,000, nearly emptying our shared account. I immediately transferred the remaining money to my personal account, then called the credit card companies to remove her as an authorized user on all our shared cards. Next, I called a 24-hour locksmith service. While waiting for them to arrive, I gathered all of Sarah's personal documents, mail, and financial paperwork into organized stacks. I was not acting out of revenge, but self-preservation. I knew I needed to protect myself legally and financially before the situation escalated further. The locksmith arrived and changed every lock in the house. I paid extra for immediate service and tipped generously, thanking him for coming on such short notice. While he worked, I called my company's legal assistance program and scheduled an emergency consultation for the following morning. By evening, I had secured the house and gathered essential documents. I moved methodically, boxing up Sarah's personal belongings and placing them in the garage storage area. I changed the Wi-Fi password, updated the security code on our home alarm system, and removed Sarah's access to our shared digital accounts and subscriptions. Around 8 o'clock that night, my phone lit up with texts from an unknown number, presumably Sarah using Matt's phone or a hotel line. "What the hell, Daniel? My cards are not working. The hotel needs payment. Are you serious right now? Answer me. You cannot just cut me off like this. I need my money. This is financial abuse. I will tell everyone what you are doing." I did not respond to any of these messages. Instead, I blocked the new number and turned my phone off for the night. For the first time in years, I made a decision based solely on what was best for me, not what would please Sarah or prevent conflict. The sense of empowerment was both unfamiliar and surprisingly comforting. Sleep did not come easily that night. I lay awake, replaying our marriage in my mind, seeing all the red flags I had willfully ignored, the gradual erosion of my self-esteem, the constant criticism disguised as helping me improve, the financial manipulation and emotional blackmail. How had I not seen it sooner? How had I allowed myself to become so diminished in my own life? By morning, I had developed a clear action plan. I would protect myself legally, financially, and emotionally in that order. I had no illusions about what was coming. Sarah would not go quietly, especially when she realized her safety net had disappeared. But for the first time in our relationship, I was prepared to stand my ground, regardless of the conflict it might bring. Exactly 9 days after Sarah's Vegas text, I was making breakfast when I heard a sharp knock at the door. Through the peephole, I saw 2 police officers standing on my porch. My heart rate doubled instantly, but I took a deep breath and opened the door. "Are you Daniel Anderson?" asked the female officer, a stern-looking woman with short gray hair. "Yes, that is me. How can I help you, sir?" "We received a report from Sarah Anderson claiming she has been illegally locked out of her residence. She states that you have barred her from accessing her home and possessions without due process. Can you explain the situation?" I invited the officers inside and showed them the text messages from Sarah explaining the circumstances of our separation. I also presented the consultation summary from my attorney, confirming my legal right to change the locks on a property solely in my name, which the house was purchased before our marriage with documentation to prove it. "I have not destroyed or disposed of any of her belongings," I explained. "Everything is boxed and stored safely in the garage. She is welcome to arrange a time to collect her things with proper notice." The male officer, younger and more sympathetic, nodded. "This is primarily a civil matter, sir. We cannot force you to allow her entry, especially given the circumstances, but I strongly advise you to work through proper legal channels to avoid escalation." They left after recommending I formalize the separation through court filings as soon as possible. I thanked them for their professionalism and closed the door, leaning against it with relief. But I knew this was just the first skirmish in what would likely be a protracted battle. That afternoon, I received a call from a man identifying himself as Robert Jennings, Sarah's attorney. "Mr. Anderson, my client informs me that you have restricted her access to shared marital finances and the marital home, creating significant hardship and distress. We are requesting immediate restoration of her access to the property and joint accounts pending formal divorce proceedings." I maintained my composure. "Mr. Jennings, I have retained counsel as well. Please direct all future communications to Lisa Thompson at Hamilton Legal Group. She is expecting your call." Lisa was a divorce attorney, specializing in high-conflict cases. During our initial consultation, she had been direct about what I was facing. "From what you have described, your wife exhibits behaviors consistent with someone who will use every emotional and legal tactic available to punish you for standing up to her. We need to be prepared for false allegations, character assassination, and financial demands far beyond what is reasonable." Lisa's prediction proved accurate almost immediately. Through investigation and discovery, we uncovered that Sarah and Matt's relationship had begun nearly 2 years earlier, not the 3 months she initially claimed to friends. My joint account funds had been used for weekend getaways, disguised as girls' trips or family emergencies. Hotel receipts, flight bookings, and restaurant charges painted a clear picture of extensive deception. The situation escalated when Sarah and Matt appeared at my house one evening, pounding on the door and shouting demands. I recorded the encounter through my security system, but did not engage directly. "I know you are in there, you coward," Sarah screamed. "Open this door right now. This is my house too." Matt attempted to sound reasonable. "Come on, man. Just let her get her stuff. We can make this easy." I texted Sarah once, "Please contact my attorney to arrange for collection of your belongings. Any further attempts to enter the property without arrangement will be considered trespassing." This sent Sarah into a rage. "You will regret this, Daniel. I will tell everyone at work what you are really like behind closed doors. All your friends will hear what a controlling, abusive husband you have been. Is that what you want?" True to her word, Sarah launched a social media campaign portraying herself as the victim of a controlling, emotionally abusive marriage. Former mutual friends began taking sides. Some reached out to express concern about behaviors they had always suspected but never witnessed. Others contacted me privately, skeptical of Sarah's sudden reinvention as a victim given what they had observed of our relationship over the years. The most painful betrayal came from Sarah's sister Emma, who had always seemed to like and respect me. She posted a lengthy statement supporting Sarah and expressing relief that she finally escaped. This from the woman who had confided in me just months earlier about her concerns regarding Sarah's excessive spending and self-centered behavior. As weeks turned into months, the pressure intensified on all fronts. Sarah and Matt's attorney sent increasingly aggressive settlement demands, insisting on half the value of my home, despite it being purchased before our marriage, plus ongoing spousal support that would have left me financially crippled. The workplace became a minefield. Though Sarah and Matt worked in a different department, rumors spread. My manager called me in for an uncomfortable conversation. "Daniel, I want you to know that your work has not suffered through all this, and we appreciate your professionalism. But HR has received some concerning allegations from your wife about your behavior. Nothing specific enough to warrant action, but I wanted you to be aware." I thanked him for the transparency and assured him the divorce proceedings would confirm the truth of the situation. But inside, I was crumbling. I lost 15 pounds in 6 weeks. Sleep became a luxury I rarely enjoyed. Anxiety attacks would strike without warning, leaving me gasping for breath in bathroom stalls or my parked car. The worst came when Sarah somehow convinced my parents to meet with her, telling them a version of our marriage so distorted I barely recognized it. My father, a traditional man who took marriage vows seriously, called me deeply concerned. "Son, Sarah says you tracked her movements, controlled all the money, and isolated her from friends. That does not sound like you, but she was very convincing. What is really going on?" Explaining the truth to my parents was excruciating. Showing them the evidence of Sarah's affairs and financial deceptions felt like exposing something shameful, even though the shame was not mine to bear. They believed me, but the seed of doubt had been planted. The fact that Sarah would manipulate my family to gain leverage showed just how far she was willing to go. The mediation session was the lowest point. Sarah arrived with Matt and their attorney, projecting an image of the happy couple, victimized by my supposed vindictiveness. Her demands had grown from 50% of assets to 70% plus 5 years of support payments. My client sacrificed career advancement to support Mr. Anderson's career, her attorney argued, despite Sarah's salary having increased more than mine during our marriage. During a break, I discovered through a colleague that Sarah had copied confidential work documents from my laptop during our marriage information she was now threatening to use as leverage. This potential corporate espionage added another layer of stress to an already overwhelming situation. That evening, I received a call that my father had been hospitalized with chest pains following an argument with Sarah, who had shown up uninvited at my parents' home, demanding they pressure me to be reasonable. Standing in the hospital corridor, watching my mother's worried face as she sat by my father's bed, something in me broke. For a moment, I considered giving Sarah whatever she wanted just to end the nightmare. I called Lisa from the hospital parking lot. "Maybe we should just settle. Give her what she wants. I cannot do this anymore. It is destroying my family, my health, everything." Lisa's voice was firm but compassionate. "Daniel, that is exactly what she is counting on. This escalation, this pressure from all sides, it is a strategy designed to break you down until you surrender. But we have truth on our side, and in my experience, the truth eventually prevails in court, even if the path getting there is painful." I hung up, sat in my car, and for the first time since this all began, I allowed myself to cry. Not just for the marriage I had lost, but for the years I had spent diminishing myself to keep the peace, for all the red flags I had ignored, for the life I had put on hold, trying to satisfy someone who was fundamentally unsatisfiable. The turning point came from an unexpected source. My neighbor, Mrs. Calloway, an 80-year-old widow who had always been kind but distant, knocked on my door one Saturday morning. "Daniel, I do not mean to intrude, but I have been watching that wife of yours come and go for years now. When you traveled for work conferences, she had company, if you understand my meaning. I have security cameras because I live alone, and well, they capture the street, and your driveway too." She handed me a USB drive. "I am not one to meddle, but what she is putting you through is not right. Perhaps this will help." The footage showed Sarah and Matt entering my home during multiple business trips over the past 2 years, often staying overnight. In several clips, they were openly affectionate in the driveway, clearly not concerned about being seen. The timestamps aligned perfectly with trips I had taken for work conferences. This concrete evidence of their long-term affair within our home was exactly what Lisa needed to shift the direction of our case. But it was just the beginning. A colleague from the financial department, Ryan, approached me privately with information he had discovered during a routine audit. Sarah had been falsifying expense reports, double-dipping on reimbursements between our company and client events. The amounts were significant, totaling over $12,000 in the past year alone. "I have not reported this officially yet," Ryan said. "I thought you should know first, given everything else happening." Additionally, an unexpected ally emerged in Matt's ex-girlfriend Allison, who contacted me through LinkedIn after hearing about the Vegas wedding. She revealed that Matt had a history of pursuing relationships with married women in professional settings, creating drama and financial entanglements before moving on to new targets. She provided documented evidence of a pattern, that mirrored exactly what had happened with Sarah. Most damning of all, our IT department discovered Sarah had used her company credentials to access proprietary information from my department, information that had no relevance to her marketing role. This corporate policy violation shifted the dynamic at work dramatically, with HR now viewing Sarah's earlier complaints against me with appropriate skepticism. With this new evidence, Lisa changed our strategy from defensive to offensive. We filed counterclaims for financial fraud, presented evidence of the long-term affair, and documented Sarah's attempts to manipulate my family and damage my professional reputation. We requested a full financial audit of all accounts during our marriage, which revealed extensive hidden spending Sarah had concealed. The private investigator, Lisa, had documented that despite their Vegas wedding, Matt was still involved with another woman, meeting her at hotels when Sarah was working late. When presented with this evidence during a deposition, Sarah's composed facade finally cracked. "You had me followed." What kind of psycho does that? She screamed before her attorney could intervene. "We simply gathered factual evidence relevant to the case," Lisa replied calmly. "Just as you gathered information about my client, though your methods involved accessing confidential corporate documents, which raises separate legal concerns. Throughout this period, I focused on rebuilding myself. I joined a support group for people experiencing high-conflict divorces, where I met others who understood the unique pain and disorientation of having a spouse rewrite the history of your relationship. The group leader, a therapist specializing in narcissistic relationship recovery, helped me recognize the patterns of emotional manipulation I had normalized over years. What you are experiencing is not just divorce, he explained. It is an extended campaign designed to break your will and extract maximum concessions. The fact that you are standing firm despite the pressure speaks volumes about your resilience. Those words became a lifeline during the darkest moments, a reminder that maintaining boundaries was not cruelty but self-preservation. The preliminary court hearing marked the beginning of the end of Sarah's campaign. The judge, an older woman with 30 years of family court experience, was not impressed by the theatrics from Sarah's side. "Mrs. Anderson, these accusations of financial control are difficult to reconcile, with evidence showing you spent over $40,000 from joint accounts on personal expenses, including trips with Mr. Davis while married to the plaintiff." The judge ordered Sarah to return the money she had withdrawn. Just before sending the Vegas text, denied her request for temporary spousal support and expressed concern about her apparent disregard for truthfulness under oath. This judicial skepticism created the first visible crack between Sarah and Matt. Outside the courtroom, they argued loudly enough for several witnesses to overhear. Matt had apparently expected a quick financial windfall from the divorce, a payout that would help them establish their new life together. As the likelihood of such a settlement diminished, so did his devotion to their relationship. Within weeks of the preliminary hearing, Sarah was suddenly representing herself alone at meetings, claiming Matt had work commitments. By the time we approached mediation again, I learned through mutual connections that Matt had moved out of their shared apartment, leaving Sarah with the full rent and utilities. The final divorce agreement reflected the collapse of Sarah's position. She received only her personal property and a small settlement representing her legitimate contributions to household expenses during our marriage. The judge formally recognized the home as my separate property, denied her request for alimony, and issued a stern rebuke regarding her conduct during proceedings. The professional consequences were equally significant. The company launched a formal investigation into both Sarah and Matt based on the evidence of expense fraud and unauthorized access to proprietary information. Both were ultimately terminated, their professional reputations severely damaged within our industry. 6 months after that life-changing text from Las Vegas, our divorce was finalized. I stood outside the courthouse feeling neither victorious nor defeated, just profoundly relieved that this chapter was closing. My attorney, Lisa, who had become something of a friend through the ordeal, gave me a rare hug. "You did not just survive this, Daniel. You reclaimed your life. That is no small achievement." In the year that followed, I focused on healing and rebuilding. I renovated the house, replacing furniture and repainting walls to erase the lingering presence of my past. I committed to therapy, working through the damage done to my self-worth and learning to recognize healthy relationship dynamics. I reconnected with friends I had neglected during my marriage and strengthened bonds with family members who had stood by me. At work, I channeled my energy into innovation, developing a new security protocol, inspired partly by the vulnerabilities I had discovered through my own experience. This project earned me a promotion and helped restore my professional confidence after months of whispered rumors and sideways glances. I received occasional updates about Sarah through mutual connections. Her brief marriage to Matt had officially ended just 3 months after our divorce was finalized. She had moved to another state, starting over with a significant career step backward. Sometimes I felt a twinge of sadness for the woman I had once loved, but mostly I felt grateful for the painful but necessary awakening her betrayal had triggered in me. 18 months after that text from Vegas, I met someone new. Kate was different from Sarah in every meaningful way, direct but kind, ambitious but ethical, independent but genuinely interested in partnership rather than control. Our relationship developed slowly, built on honest communication and mutual respect. What painful moment in your life became the unexpected gateway to something better? Share your story in the comments below. If this journey of overcoming betrayal and rebuilding resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more authentic stories of resilience. And if you know someone who might need to hear that surviving betrayal is possible, share this video with them. Thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes the most painful endings clear the path for truly beautiful beginnings.